Dixo and ApeChain present ApeChain on Chain and the first ApeCon virtual conference. Networking and navigating with Vera and Rahim.
We'll bring up Rahim and Vera here to stage in a second. Moving on to networking on ApeChain. So this is something that we had talked about a little bit. So to tee this up, and appreciate Rahim's pulling double duty for us. He's going to judge later as well. Before we give a deep dive into it, because as we've talked about, what we want people to understand is that there is a world out there that they can take advantage of if they want to launch any sort of thing on chain, if they want to create new connections with new people out there in the wild. So before we get into that, though, and start talking about how you do it, because you're two of the best at this, well-liked and very well-known. Well, I'll start with you, Vera. Can you give a little bit of your background for people who don't know you, and then Rahim will do the same for you.
Hi, great to meet everyone here. My name is Vera, and a lot of people know me from the Bored Ape community. I was the ApeCoin Console 2023, but a lot of people know me as ex-NVIDIA, Silicon Valley tech person. But I've been in the crypto, doing investment recently. So great meeting you guys, and happy to catch up with everyone here.
Awesome. Rahim, same deal. Would love you to give your background as well.
Hey everyone, super nice to be here with my fellow apes. So nice to see you guys. Used to be a forensic scientist, pivoted my career to film and production, tapped into the NFT space end of 2020, building ArtStyle, which is an IRL community based out of Dubai. And excited to have this conversation with all of you guys today.
Awesome. Go ahead, Laura. I'll let you take it off from here.
No, so good to see familiar faces. Excited for this part of the conversation. It was one of the topics that I think are the most valuable, and especially trying to transition those IRL experiences into, an online virtual conference. So just to kick it off, if you don't mind sharing, Rahim, Vera, some of those in-person experiences and why they have been so important, and if there is a way for us to translate that into a virtual space.
I can kick it off first. I fundamentally believe this is like that cliche saying that people will forget what you say to them, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. And I'm like a big advocate of that, of like this concept of like, instead of like networking, think of it, you're building like relationships. And I think like there are small things that you can do, right? Like, sure, you can like DM someone and you can have a conversation online, but every once in a while, sure, you're trying to build that engagement and you're trying to connect with as many people, but every once in a while, like DM a couple of people, just like have like a genuine heart-to-heart conversation. I recently, last week, I got on a call with Fresh Kicks. I just wanted to be like, you guys are awesome. I love what you guys do. I want to order like a pair of shoes, but like, to me, you guys are not just like a bunch of people who are like commercially doing this. To me, you guys are artists, and I feel like I'm owning a piece of what you guys are going to do. So let's just like connect. And like, sure, we live across the world. Like they live in Canada, I live in Dubai. But I just feel like, just breaking that barrier of, let's turn on our cameras on. Let's see each other smile. Let's see each other laugh, and just like pick those nuances. So I fundamentally believe I just think if people start thinking about, let's just get real with our conversations. Let's just stop being pretentious and just be like honest. And I think that's always like the best way to build like these core relationships online, even if you're not able to see these people in real life.
Yeah, I personally think like building a relationship, like online, virtually, we're more like a building a brand, and then this is depending on how broader we can approach. That we can approach people who we've never had any connection with, and building it offline is where it kind of become a little bit personal. You're building your, personal relationship, have your own character and personal interest to share with people, building that trust level beyond that what you can build on the internet. So I do really think that building the virtual community is really extended how broad that we can reach and how much bigger our brand and impact can be. So I think both are very important.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to hear the way that you combine those two things. And I'll keep it with you, Vera, for a second here to ask, again, one of the things with, I think both of you, is people see you talking to people on the timeline, talking to people in DMs at IRL events, and think these people are so confident. Like, these people just have everything going for them. What would you say to the person who maybe, I'll start with Vera, like, who's shy and maybe says, you know what, I don't know how comfortable I am in these settings. Like, what advice would you give to them?
Honestly, you're asking the right person, because I was one of those. And especially for me, like, I'm not like English native, right? A lot of people who are not like native speakers, that they feel uncomfortable talking about English in public, like, even like text messages. And yeah, Laura. But I think on the other hand, right, like, to be honest, like, for all the native speakers, everyone here, like, who can talk, like, no one cares about your accent. Sometimes people think about your accent is really cool. People don't care about like how you look. People don't really care much about like, the stuff outside. People really care about the message you deliver, and they give the respect on what you say. So for people who are shy because of those reasons, that, you're not a native speaker, you're not confident about like what you're saying, I think, like, just put the step out first. People are not going to laugh at you. And then once you get that first step, I think the second, the third will be much easier, and then you will see like, oh, get better and better. And then at some point you'll hate to this point. You're just like, oh, sometimes I just feel like I'm really stupid. Like, stuff I say, like, I don't know, what if people thinking about I'm stupid? What do people think about like making fun of me? I mean, like, to be honest, as a friend of you, I would say, fuck it. Like, why would you care about other people think about you, right? Like, you probably will never meet this person in person, or even some people that you meet in person, they're not going to tell you that you're stupid anyways. So sometimes you just act dumb and not know about it. I think as time going, you will sound smarter over time and with more practice. I think this whole communication is about a lot of practice, a lot of shameless, like, you just don't care, a lot like I don't care. So, I was there, and I think, the me you see today wasn't the me you see before. And you can still see the old me is stupid, but no one cares about the old me. People care about you right now. So I think moving that first step, and, just be who you are, just be true of who you are and what you want to deliver. I think that's also very important. So I hope it's helpful.
I think it's helpful for a lot of people, on that, because to your point, if somebody has something to say that isn't nice, it's more about them than it is about you. You're just putting yourself out there and trying to make a friend. Rahim, one question, different question for you, I guess, like, because, again, you talk to a lot of people, you're very out and about. Are there things in conversation that if somebody is trying to network with you, maybe that they wouldn't realize is an unintentional faux pas, or something that would turn you off, that would be like, man, this person's just trying to sell me their product, or they just got right to the, jump here, or they're trying really hard? What are the things, if you're talking to someone, because you're a really kind individual, so I imagine you always generally give people the benefit of the doubt, but are there any things that you're like, red flag on that one?
Yeah, great question. I absolutely love this. I fundamentally believe that it's almost like when you're having a conversation with someone, just like think about like what is in it for them. Like, realize, and this doesn't have to be, it doesn't matter like whether this person, whoever it is, they're like a famous person or a not famous person or whatever. At the end of the day, I think from a conversation point of view, you should always pivot it in a way that what value it brings to the other person. And necessarily the other person is not looking for it, but it kind of like tears down this barrier that you're like, okay, Laura came and said this to me. It's like, she's so considerate about me that I'm inclined to have this conversation. A couple of months ago, I had this like random person reach out to me in Dubai. And it was probably like one of the kindest messages I've ever gotten in my life. And she wanted to just like pick my brain about like something, like a business that she was starting. And she was like, Rahim, I get it. You're too busy. You probably like don't even know me, and you have like no obligation to do this, but I really appreciate your time. And if you say no, I'm completely okay. And it melted my heart, because I was like, you know what? Like, I love the fact that she's being so respectful and honest. And I was like, you know what? You tell me where you want me to be and I will come to you. And I just think at the end of the day, just like respect other people, realize that when you're going to these networking events, that very likely the same conversation is being happened with like 100 other people. How are you going to stand out? And one of the ways to stand out is to like touch the person's heart, as cheesy as this sounds.
I think also, when I think of IRL events or online networking, it's not taking things personal. And now that you're sharing this story and how this person like touched you and you decided to give your time, there's no obligation. And this person knew that from the beginning. And I feel that many people could get discouraged. Hey, I reached out to so-and-so, never heard back, never. And there could be a million reasons why someone didn't write back. And sometimes you have to be either a little bit more persistent, or I don't know, or just go down a different avenue and find a new pathway to see what works and what's best. A lot of things that both of you said like resonated with me, Vera, when you were saying like, this is not your native language and people might be thinking A, B, and C about you. Many times people are not even thinking about us, and it's us thinking about ourselves. And we think that people are thinking about it. And it's like people are thinking that they're hungry. People are thinking about their family or their own issues. So I think sometimes that takes away like the pressure of, oh, they're going to continue to think about this interaction. Sometimes we're going to have awkward interactions. So how, like we said, both of you at this point have all this experience networking. Does it still happen that sometimes those experiences might be, I don't know, a DM that was an answer, or an in-person conversation that you left kind of feeling like, okay, that was a little awkward. I guess I'll move on to the next person. And how do you handle those feelings, or sort of to normalize for the people out there if the situations have happened to either of you?
So just in general, I'll go first. Apologize. So in general, for myself, I have one thesis of in general with like like communication or social is how you see others is a reflect of how you see what's actually shows inside of your heart. So when that things happen, like I feel awkward. There's two things that I would reflect on myself. The number one is, am I just being closed-minded on something? It depends on what they're talking. I was starting to reflect. Oh, did my like bias actually make me think about that way, or that just kind of turned awkward? And then the second thing is, I would see like what is that intention if that happened, like why that happened, and what that shows. If I see an ugly part of it, it just kind of reflects the ugly part of my heart, right? And I will try to refine that. So end of the day, I think this kind of like a massage for myself that, making me see a lot more positive versus the dark side of human, which always happen too. And especially when it comes like, it could be like very frustrating if you only see the dark side of people. The world is the color that you see. So if you see the bright color, you see the bright of people. If you see the dark color, your world is all dark. So that's how I see, and that's how like kind of I process when I facing those awkward moments. But I'll leave it for him to answer.
How do you follow that, Rahim? Because that's like one of the things where it's like you are actually probably two of the most perfect people for this, because you're genuinely networked by being good human beings that people like, and that is like. I'm going to listen back to that. That is the most actionably awesome piece of advice. No pressure.
No, I think it's like completely spot on. I think like I approach it in like a very similar way as Vera does, is having done like theater in my life. A lot of times when we used to do theater, we were always like, we need to make sure the other actors feel comfortable and that they are having a good time on stage. So I feel like whenever I have this conversation, what I think in my head is that maybe this person is shy, maybe they're feeling nervous, maybe they're not able to communicate. So it's not like they don't have the right idea, but it feels like they put so much pressure, or there's a language barrier, or they feel like, oh my God, I'm finally talking to this person. So I take it upon me that how can I tear down the walls that they've built up? So I'll be like, I totally understand. How can I, like, what is it that you're looking for? What value do you want to see come out of this? And let me see what I can do. So I feel like a lot of times I take it from a point of view that a lot of people are not extroverted. A lot of people feel like very shy, whether it's like language, whether it's like the person that you're speaking to. And sometimes it just comes down to not intention, but like people's communication skills. And that's completely okay. And it is, I fundamentally believe that if anyone is on the other end, and if you believe like you're a bit extroverted, you're a good conversationalist, it is your duty to break down that wall. I don't know if you guys remember, but like before the Hong Kong A Fest, I had put out this tweet where I was like, if you are an introverted person and you just don't know how to start a conversation, come to me at ApeFest and say, I need a banana. And like and I had 3 people come and actually say that. And I was like, that's all we need to do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to help you break down that barrier, and I will drive the conversation. So the pressure is not on you. All you have to do is just like, let me know you need that banana.
I love that. I have this thing that I always tell people. They're like, what piece of advice would you give an IRL event? And my answer is, if you have a group of friends, especially you're walking around with, and you see a person standing alone at a bar, standing alone in a corner, walk up to that person, introduce yourself. There's a good chance. There's been multiple occasions where I've done this, and those people have joined our walking crew, and they've been alone. Like there's somebody who's like just newly minted or newly bought a mutant, and they're by themselves, and you grab them, and then suddenly they feel very welcome in the community. And I think those little things, which might seem small to you, but it's like, don't ignore that individualized person sitting in the corner. Make them feel welcome. Let me get you both out of here with this question, because you both have been awesome, like really actionable advice. And I know we got our D2C folks coming in here in a second. I guess the question for both of you, we've been giving people tips all day. The reason we're running this is we want people to know, like, hey, you want to build on ApeChain, you want to build a career here, you want to build a life here, you want to continue to grow. Like, here's how you can mint things. Here's the ways to sell into it. Here's ways to get funding. But I think this might be the most valuable panel for a lot of these people, because this is the hardest part for so many people. Something that comes easy for everyone on this call right now, the 4 of us now, is not so easy for most people. So if you had to give people 1 or even 2 pieces of really concrete advice when they're trying to grow and network and continue to meet new people, I'll start with you, Vera, and I'll finish with Rahim. What's that piece of advice you'd give?
I think number one thing, well, I mean, I can only give 1 piece, right?
1 or 2. You can see a couple in there if you want. Yeah.
Well, just before I gave the 1 piece of advice, I would have to tell people that, like, for builders especially, like Ape, I think Ape community in general is a very diverse and a very welcoming community. So like you are not only landing on, like a random ecosystem, like with people that not looking into what you're building. I think this is a community that really gives you a lot of attention. And like what Steve said, even at an event that you're not an ape and you're just there by yourself, I'm pretty sure, 100% sure, will ape somehow like go say hi to you. So I think builder's journey is start one like very, very, very tough. It's not an easy journey, but building with love, it gives a lot of power. And I think, for people who are considering building, I think this is a great community that you want to landing on, especially under like, you can tell the community when the market is bad. And that's what I like to invest into. So, from like an investor perspective, I would say like just building when the time is tough, because the smart investors, smart community members, they're watching. Although you think maybe there's nobody there, but the people are actually very busy with, looking for who people are truly believing in the industry, in the community, and who are truly around. And I think, it's easy to see everyone is super nice when the market is great. But I think when the market is really down, that's when you see the true color of people. And don't worry about the tough time, because they will go through. But building at the tough time with passion, with what you truly believe in, is important, because that's how other people see you, and that's how other people gonna lift you when the market recovers, because we went through hard time together. So I think that's quite important, and that's 1 piece of, I wouldn't say advice, but that's 1 piece of the suggestions I wanted to share with my personal experience.
A great way to connect with people, a great way to find those connections. Rahim, any what advice would you give people if they're putting themselves out there, they're new to communities? Like, how would you tell them to start proceeding?
Like I think one of my fundamental beliefs is that like people don't invest in products, or they don't buy products, or they don't buy projects. They believe in like the founders, like, or the people behind it, or the creator behind it. Like really take your time and understand what that like really means. If like people really believe in who you are as a person, sometimes even the craziest idea will be something like they will be all for it. Like they will be one of your biggest supporters. And I think realizing that is like super fundamentally important, especially in like our space. Like, like one of the bits about like the Web3 space is there's this like big trust factor. A lot of people are like anonymous, you don't know who's who and stuff. just build that like real connection, like connect with people. Like, sure, you're talking to them on like on the timeline, but get on calls with every once in a while with people. Back in 22, I used to do these open calls, but I would have like a calendar once a week, be like, I'm doing 20 minutes call, like whoever it is, just like sign up. Let's just like have a call and stuff. So I just like, maybe this is like a very like a rose tinted point of view, but I fundamentally believe that a lot of human beings are just like nice people. Like they don't have like bad intentions. And I think like really appeal to that. Like if they trust you, if they believe in you, they will back you up, even regardless of the markets are good, markets are bad. You can't like really control that. The one thing that you can control is making sure that people believe in you, in your vision, in your ethos, in your principles, and that will forever stay in life with you, regardless of what chain you are on, how bad or good the market is. And I think that's how you should be building your personal identity and your personal brand.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you both. Appreciate both your leadership in the community and as humans in the world, because I think people, if the world had more Veras and Rahims, we have a much, much better world in front of us. So thank you both for joining us today. I know you're joining us later for the Judge segment, Rahim and Vera. Awesome. Always kind of hearing from you and getting your perspective. And I never would have guessed that you were sort of shy and timid early on, because you're so well liked in network. So thank you both.
Thank you guys. Honestly, I'm like, it's a very heartfelt conversation. And I think it's like, I loved it that it's like in the middle of the day. It like picked me up and like, I don't know, it reminded me of the why. And sometimes like when what Vera said, like you're leading with your heart, and also Rahim, like seeing the best in people, like it just changes how to approach things. So appreciate that. And with that, I hope that everyone got inspired as well. I'm excited to see what connections come from this conference, and for, new DMs, new builders, new friends, and we'll go from there. So thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you guys in a little bit.
Thank you guys. It's been a pleasure.
Appreciate you both. Steve, I knew they were perfect for this panel. Didn't realize how perfect, and I knew they'd be great just because I've seen them interact before. I've seen them do this. I've heard them do this, and my note was, do you need a banana? Or I need a banana. Just like, because I've seen you do that in person too, right? I vividly remember it was in Miami, and you went over to a guy standing by himself, pulled him into our conversation, and the rest, is history. It's really is. I won't bring you back up to ask him the question. Maybe we'll fit it in if we have time at the finals later. But Rahim mentioned that he believes genuinely people are good people and nice people. And while I would agree, I feel it's even more so from like a percentage, like relative to the general population at large. I feel like crypto and Web3, this ecosystem in particular, the good people far outpace the nefarious actors, the bad actors, the scammers, the grifters. It just doesn't seem like that in crypto. I think a lot of outsiders have the opposite opinion of us, but having a chance to network with so many people in this club, I do feel it's a pretty special place. But yeah, great conversation. Appreciate the panel. And
thanks for listening to Ape Chain on Chain. This project is powered by the ApeCoin DAO through AIP572. Bringing our community's valuable conversations on chain and also on traditional audio platforms. Rate this episode and/or leave feedback and earn Dixo rewards by visiting the Dixo on-chain platform.